Go ahead and call to order this special meeting and public hearing of the City of Nashua Planning Board for May 28th, 2020. Can I guess Linda, can you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Mayor Donches? Mike Pedersen?
Present.
Are you, could you also just please let me know if you were alone in the room?
I'm alone.
Thank you. Scott Leclerc?
Here, I'm alone.
Adam Varley?
Here and by myself.
Ed Weber?
Here by myself.
Alderman Tenza? Alderwoman Jan Schmidt? Dan Hudson?
Present and alone.
Maggie Harper?
Present and alone.
Bob Bollinger?
Present by myself.
And Larry Hirsch?
Present and by myself.
Okay, and we have a quorum.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read the introductory statement. So this is Scott Leclerc. I am the chair of the City of Nashua Planning Board. This is the May 28th, 2020 special meeting and public hearing. As the chair of the board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by Governor Sununu as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized to meet electronically pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I'm confirming that we are, 1, providing public access to meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are video conferencing utilizing WebEx through the city's IT department for this electronic meeting. Public access to this meeting is also provided via WebEx. A link to the meeting is contained in the meeting agenda available at the city's website, which is www.nashuanh.gov. The meeting can be streamed through the city's website at www.nashuanh.gov/318/CTV on Nashua's community link. The public may also view this meeting on Comcast channel 16. Number 2, we're providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting through public postings and, where applicable, a notice to abutters. Instructions have also been provided on the City of Nashua's website and publicly noticed at City Hall. Additionally, a link to the public WebEx access for this meeting is contained in the meeting agenda, which is also available at the city's website. Number 3, we're providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with the access. If anyone has a problem accessing the meeting, please call 603-589-3115 and they will help you connect. Number 4, we will be adjourning the meeting if public is access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting via the methods mentioned previously, the meeting will be adjourned.
Yep, we lost the chair.
For persons wishing to speak in favor or with questions or opposition, for the board deliberates and determines an outcome. Applicants and their representatives and individuals required to appear before the board are appearing remotely and not required to be physically present. Those applicants and their representatives and individuals required to appear before the board may contact the planning department to arrange an alternative means of real-time participation if unable to use WebEx. Real-time public comment can be addressed via video to the board using WebEx virtual meeting software for remote access. Please note that all votes are going to be taken during this meeting will be done by roll call vote, and that we will continue with planning board meetings held electronically until it's been deemed safe to conduct more typical meetings at City Hall. Thank you for your understanding and patience during this time. Okay, so going down the agenda here, we don't have any minutes to talk about. Linda, are there any communications? at this point?
No, we don't have any.
No. Okay. Any reports of committee or liaison?
Weber, none.
Okay. So moving on, old business conditional special use permits, there are none. Old business subdivision plans, there are none. Old business site plans, there are none. New business conditional special use permits, there are none. New business subdivision plans, there are none. New business site plans, there are none. Other business, number one, referral from the Board of Aldermen on proposed O-20-014, allowing temporary adjustment of site plans by community development director or designee to allow for greater outdoor seating at restaurant. Okay, so we, Ms. Marchand, are you speaking on behalf of the city, please?
Yes, thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
great.
Leclerc.
Yep.
My name is Sarah Marchand, the Community Development Director for the city. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, great. I do have one edit to put forward before I almost forgot last night, so I'd like to bring that to your attention first. It's the last line of the very first paragraph. It
Okay.
should, it should read no fee shall be charged instead of fee.
Got it.
So I would like to suggest that amendment. The intention here was
Got
to
it.
do something efficient and quick to get our businesses up and running with the modified governor's orders, and to do so in a way that does not cause additional economic hardship. And so we wanted to make sure an administrative review application is traditionally $300, as it's not going through that whole process. It's a little bit different. We thought it would be best to try and waive all fees at this time.
Okay.
So the overall goal of this ordinance is, again, to be able to quickly modify and adapt site plans within safety parameters to allow for dining to be outdoors. So this includes in parking areas, in landscaped areas, and in different areas around restaurants that maybe we wouldn't traditionally see. We have changed the process and created an internal process. So we are working with planning and building and fire and public health and public works as needed on these. So there is an internal review process. It isn't just, it is very clear and structured this way. The ordinance itself only waives land use code related things. So parking requirements, right? Meeting minimum parking, the minimum open space, things along those lines. It does not waive fire, building, health, safety, any public safety code. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the board? Anybody? Mr. Varley?
Yeah, I just had a quick question, Sarah. I'm assuming that this is because, the changes already been made on Main Street downtown, that's not a site plan change because it's in the right of way, or that's different than what you're proposing here, which I'm assuming would be broader throughout the city, not, and this could be anywhere.
That is a great question. So the D1 district downtown is not subject to site plan review. It is exempted for most things. And so, yes, that you are correct. All of that is exempt from that. But this would apply to any properties that are normally subject to site plan review throughout the city.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And it is temporary, ending at the end of the year. It's over. This is not permanent. And if magically we decide to do something like this again in the future, this would no longer apply because it ends at the end of the year.
Okay. Other questions from the board?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Mr. Bollinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there any form of redress for abutters or other concerned citizens if things don't play out the way they are expected to and hopefully will play out?
Yep, that's a great question. It would be the same process as if there was a potential site plan violation right now. You could contact our office or however the complaint comes in. We would have code enforcement go inspect it. We would look at what was actually approved versus maybe what's on site. I could imagine that things might slowly expand over time, right? Or things suddenly become a little bit different than was originally anticipated. We would work with the applicant. We also would talk to fire and public health. If there's a life safety public health issue, that certainly has jurisdiction. But our goal would be to bring somebody back into better compliance if there's an issue there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Mr. Chair, I just had a couple other, I think they're relatively quick questions, if you would indulge me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Marchand, as indicated in the ordinance or proposed ordinance, there is going to be a very brief sketch or plan review, at least insofar as it's required to demonstrate the changes. Is there any basic checklist or other criteria that's required for approval?
Yes, great question. I mean, actually, you can go to the outdoor dining webpage from the city of Nashua, and the entire process is documented there, and there is a checklist of what's required. So the first step is that somebody notifies us that they are interested through this website, and we have a point person, Kate Poirier, in our department is the main point of contact, and we will either send them their approved site plan if there's one on file so that they can start from where they're at, or we will send them a GIS map. And there's a couple very specific things that we need to see. We need to see exactly, and there's whole sets of checklists for public health and fire as well that are on that website. But for our purposes, and I don't think I have it up right now, we are looking for flow of traffic, exactly where the layout's going to be, how it's going to be secured and safe from the public, flow of traffic, signage, temporary signage. Let's see, I think there's 4 things. Linda or Scott, let me see if I can bring it up real quick. But so we're looking for the information we would traditionally be looking for on a site plan that way, so that we can make sure that there isn't traffic issue, that there will be adequate signage. With drive-throughs, we want to know about additional stacking lane options in case we have drive-throughs that are getting backed up. We want to know where takeout parking is going to be versus where seating is going to be. So we're looking for the general layout of information to make sure that we still have a safe site, but one that also will accommodate this outdoor seating.
All right. I appreciate that. That actually answers, I think, part of my next question, which was going to be as part of the sketch or plan review, will any barrier be required between vehicular traffic and patrons? Obviously, the city made an investment with Jersey barrier on Main Street, but not every small business may be able to accommodate that.
Yes, it's a great question. And so there is, and it's required actually under the fire department jurisdiction about what qualifies as a barrier or not. Certainly, we are not requiring all these businesses to get Jersey barriers. And that's not the most attractive thing. But a simple rope barrier is not sufficient, right? You can't just put up some stanchions with a rope. That's not sufficient either. So fire has come up with a couple things, 50-gallon barrels filled with sand or water, and they have a couple different items that we're trying to work with people. We want to be accommodating and not cause undue costs, but also we got to keep people safe. So all those are required to separate parking areas from people areas.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you would indulge me, I just have one more quick question, and I appreciate Director Marchand's responses. So
I think he's frozen.
We lost him again. I'm gonna. Oh,
there he is.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry we lost you for 1 second. I just have one more quick question, and thank you for indulging me. I guess the last one.
Big tents. If you have a tent or a canopy, you got to get permits for that. I can't forget that one.
No, I appreciate that. I guess the last one I was going to ask for is the landowner required to either give written consent or is this just tenant applicant driven? Because obviously the tenant isn't necessarily the landowner, and under our normal procedures, there'd have to be some coordination there to make sure the landowner was aware that the applicant was in fact proposing something different.
Yes, so the landowner has to give us an email or a written letter signing off that they also agree to this. So that is an important piece of the application that has to come in. Yes.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for again indulging me in those.
Mr. Chair?
Yep, I'm here. Yep.
One of the things too that I wanted to point out that we are looking at too, because we do, Scott and I review the plans when they come in, is handicap parking, to make sure that they're not taking over any handicap parking, or if they are, they have to provide some so that it is still handicap accessible.
Okay, good note. Yep. Mr. Weber?
Yes. Is there going to be a designated area for walking and not just overabundance of tables and chairs?
On a site-by-site basis, yes. They are going to, there's not going to be like new designated sidewalk, but the flow of how the traffic goes versus where people go is something that is important on the actual plans. And what governs a lot of this is actually the public health rules and fire. You can only be so far from a bathroom. You can only be so far from the kitchen to make this feasible for the business, actually. So there's a lot of different components that aren't necessarily outdoor site plan that all feed into creating a plan that's going to work for everybody.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All right. Not hearing any further ones or seeing any waving hands. Does anybody want to make a motion regarding this O-20-014? I'd remind the motion maker that there was a recommended amendment to the last sentence in the first paragraph. Mr. Barley?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion that we provide a favorable recommendation with respect to ordinance O-20-014 relative to temporary adjustment site plans, with the recommendation including one change in the last sentence of the first paragraph to indicate that it would be no fee to be charged for the review.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Varley. So we have that motion to provide a favorable recommendation with that slight amendment that Mr. Varley indicated regarding the fee. There being none. Do we have a second on that? Second by Mr. Weber.
I second the motion.
Okay, do we have any discussion? Linda, could you call a roll vote, please?
Mike Peterson?
Yes.
Scott Leclair?
Yes.
Adam Varley?
Yes.
Ed Weber?
Yes.
Dan Hudson?
Yes.
Maggie Harper?
Yes.
Bob Bollinger?
Yes.
Larry Hirsch?
Yes.
That motion passes 8-0.
Okay. So we have no further items on our agenda at this point. Any other discussion from the board?
Weber.
Go ahead, Mr. Weber.
Yes. Yesterday, the other day I talked to Linda about attending the Hudson Planning Board. They're putting forth a huge complex, and I believe that it will have a regional impact on Nashua, but we're going to be getting the traffic report, and so, but I think that the going to be reviewed by administration, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, thanks. Any other discussion items? Anybody who want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Mr. Weber to adjourn. Can we get a roll vote on that?
Mike Peterson?
Yes.
Scott Leclair?
Yes.
Adam Varley?
Yes.
Ed Weber?
Yes.
Dan Hudson?
Yes.
Maggie Harper?
Yes.
Bob Bollinger?
Yes.
Larry Hirsch?
Yes.
And that motion passes 8-0.
Okay, so we are adjourned at 5:20 PM. Sounds like our next meeting is what, the 4th of June?
Correct.
Okay, thanks, everybody.